Are you looking for the best laptop for Silhouette Cameo? In this video we will look at some of the best laptop for Silhouette Cameo on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Acer Nitro 5. If you're looking for a reliable and powerful laptop that isn't very expensive, then you found it with the Acer Nitro 5. It more than meets the minimum requirements to run Silhouette Cameo as well as meeting the recommended requirements for the program as well. With its entry-level gaming specs, the Acer Nitro 5 can be used for other more resource-heavy apps as well as video editing software and AAA video games. The system requirements for Silhouette Cameo might only be 2 GB of RAM and a 2.0 GHz CPU, but that doesn't mean that you settle for a laptop that just barely meets those specs. A lot of people using these laptops complain that Silhouette Cameo runs badly. It is only to be expected since 2 GB of RAM really isn't enough for most apps these days. With this being said, the Acer Nitro 5 is a reasonably priced laptop that meets the recommended system requirements of Silhouette Cameo. Its Intel quad-core i5-9300H CPU can run up to 4.0 GHz, which allows it to even beat other Intel quad-core i7 processors in general. Needless to say, this processor is powerful enough to run Silhouette Cameo as well as photo editing programs that go hand in hand with Silhouette Cameo. Although the GPU really isn't a big deal for NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650, its NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650 is very helpful if you plan to do other things aside from Silhouette Cameo like graphic design, video editing, and even some gaming. Overall, the Acer Nitro 5 is a good choice for a mid-price laptop for Silhouette Cameo as well as for running programs that work well with it like Photoshop, Canva, and other photo editing software. Recommended configuration for Acer Nitro 5 CPU, Intel Core i5-9300H processor graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650 RAM, 8GB screen, 15 Full HD, 1920 by 1080 widescreen IPS LED backlit display storage, 256GB SSD, operating system, Windows 10 Home battery life, 4 hours weight, 5.07 pounds. At number 2. Apple MacBook Pro 16. Being one of the best MacBooks on the market, the Apple MacBook Pro 16 is a good choice for almost every job and for running most software. Silhouette Cameo is no exception either. This laptop has remarkable and powerful specs that can run almost any software smoothly and reliably. You can take advantage of its amazing specs to create high-quality images which you can use with Silhouette Cameo. Silhouette Cameo is only meant to run with both Windows and Mac OS, and with this being said, one of the best MacBooks on the market is a good match for this piece of hardware. The Apple MacBook Pro 16 is probably one of the best laptops for Silhouette Cameo on this list. This is even more apparent especially if you're planning on using it for business or professional reasons. The MacBook specs will allow you to create the highest quality image you can use with Silhouette Cameo. First of all, its magnificent 4K display will allow you to see your final product at the best possible quality, allowing for a spectacular final product. Its AMD Radeon Pro 5500M is very handy for rendering difficult graphics, but it's not so powerful that it limits the MacBook's mobility. The Apple MacBook Pro 16 only weighs about 4.3 pounds thanks to its balanced GPU and its latest Intel Core i9 processor, which surprisingly manages to prolong the laptop's battery life as well. Overall, the Apple MacBook Pro 16 is the ideal choice if you want to create professional products using Silhouette Cameo. Recommended configuration for Apple MacBook Pro 16 CPU, Intel Core i9 processor graphics, AMD Radeon Pro 5500M, Intel UHD graphics, 630 RAM, 16GB screen, 16.0-inch IPS technology, 3072 by 1920 pixels storage, 1TB SSD, operating system, Mac OS battery life, 11 hours, weight, 4.3 pounds. At number 3. Microsoft Surface Book 3. If you're the type who prefers to work using a stylus pen, then you'll love the Microsoft Surface Book 3. With this 2-in-1 laptop, you'll be able to create stylish and unique designs for cutting with your Silhouette Cameo. This way, you can enjoy working in the park or in a more inspiring setting without having to resort to a bulky and large laptop to create your drawings. Using a 2-in-1 laptop with Silhouette Cameo might seem counterintuitive since you have to connect to the device, making its portability worthless, but it's actually really useful if you think of it from an artist's point of view. Creating digital art can be quite hard, especially if you're working in the confines of your own room. A convertible laptop like the Microsoft Surface Book 3 might be a good choice if you need a change of scenery from time to time. This 2-in-1 laptop has pretty powerful specs for running photo editing software and even graphic design applications. The laptop features a 10th generation Intel Core i7 processor that can handle most modern-day tasks and programs. The biggest takeaway here is that this laptop is a convertible and you can use its touchscreen to create digital art practically anywhere. You can enjoy making drawings and images for Silhouette Cameo in the park, while on vacation, or simply somewhere scenic that puts you in a creative mood. This makes the Microsoft Surface Book 3 one of the best laptops for Silhouette Cameo in terms of convenience. You can simply import the images you've made into the Silhouette Studio and make some edits from there to better fit the final product. Overall, the Microsoft Surface Book 3 does not disappoint, and its 17 hours of battery life will ensure you'll be able to create wonderful pieces of art that you can use in your business or in your hobbies. Recommended configuration for Microsoft Surface Book 3 CPU: Intel Core processor i7-1035G7 graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 RAM, 16GB RAM, screen, 15-inch 3240 by 2160 Ultra HD Touch display, storage, 256GB SSD, operating system, Windows 10, battery life, 17 hours, weight, 3.45 pounds. At number 4. Dell XPS 15. If you're looking to create amazing pieces of artwork with your Silhouette Cameo, then you're going to need a wonderful display. Thankfully, the Dell XPS 15 has an amazing 4K display along with its thick bezels and anti-reflective capabilities. This means that you'll be able to see your images at the best possible resolution and make the necessary changes to improve them for the better. Its anti-reflective display also means that you can do this despite working on a very hot summer day where the sun is very bright. Both the Dell XPS 15 and 13 are Dell's most successful laptops on the market. And they do share a lot of similarities in features, but we chose the Dell XPS 15 for this one since it has a larger display which is more useful for editing images and creating designs. One of the biggest benefits of the laptop is its amazing 4K display, which is very helpful for artists and graphic designers who plan to use Silhouette Cameo. The reason is that they'll be able to see their final product at the best possible resolution, as well as helping them spot errors and make corrections on their work while zooming in. Being one of Dell's most successful products, you can expect the Dell XPS 15 to be a powerhouse as well. Its 9th generation Intel Core i7 processor and NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650 are pretty much overkill for most programs, and you can expect it to run Silhouette Studio pretty easily as well as other graphic-related programs. Overall, the Dell XPS 15 deserves the praise as being one of the best laptops for Silhouette Cameo thanks to its impressive display, powerful specs, and versatility. Recommended configuration for Dell XPS 15 CPU: Intel Core i7-9750H graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650 RAM, 16GB RAM, screen, 15.6-inch 4K UHD anti-reflective display, storage, 256GB SSD, operating system, Windows 10, battery life, up to 8 hours, weight, 5.51 pounds. At number 5. Acer Aspire 5. If you don't plan on spending a lot of money on a premium laptop but want the best laptop for Silhouette Cameo, then perhaps you'd like the Acer Aspire 5. It's cheap, it's affordable, and its Intel Core i5 and 8GB of RAM meets the recommended requirement for running Silhouette Cameo. It's definitely one of the best laptops for Silhouette Cameo budget-wise. One great thing about the Silhouette Cameo is that you don't need a super high-end laptop to run it since it has pretty low system requirements. At a minimum, it only requires 2GB of RAM and a 2.0 GHz CPU, which isn't that hard to find. However, we recommend getting at least 8GB of RAM for your Windows 10 laptop, since you'll have a hard time running other programs if you only have 2GB of RAM, considering that Google Chrome and other apps take up more than 2GB of RAM in most cases. This is where the Acer Aspire 5, it's a cheap and affordable laptop that features decently good specs with its 10th generation Intel Core i5-10210U, which beats some older Intel quad-core i7 processor. Aside from this, The laptop also has a full HD display, making it good for creating graphics and design as well. It only has 5 hours of battery life, but that's pretty good, especially since this is a cheap and affordable laptop. Overall, it's one of the more viable options if you're looking to run Silhouette Studio and Silhouette Cameo when you're on a budget. Overall, the Acer Aspire 5 is a cheap and reliable laptop that is ideal for people on a budget. Recommended configuration for Acer Aspire 5 CPU, Intel Core i5-10210U graphics, Intel UHD graphics, 620 RAM, 8GB RAM screen, 15-inch Full HD, 1920 by 1080, widescreen LED backlit IPS display storage, 256 SSD, operating system, Windows 10 Home battery life, 5 hours, weight, 5.74 pounds. At number 6. LG Gram. When it comes to portability and battery life, the LG Gram is an amazing pick. If you're planning to create artworks and design for your Silhouette Cameo to cut, then the LG Gram is best suited for this task, especially if you plan to make the outdoors, in the park, or somewhere different that's not your room. The LG Gram is a good choice if you're constantly on the move. It's one of the most portable laptops on this list, and it weighs relatively light for its size, and it has exceptional battery life. You don't necessarily need a portable laptop to run Silhouette Cameo, but making designs can be time-consuming, and working while traveling is a good way to save you that time. With the LG Gram, you'll be able to work on your designs, your artwork while traveling or waiting to arrive at your destination. Aside from the portability and 17-hour battery life, the LG Gram is pretty powerful as well, with its Intel Core i7 processor that makes quick work of most tasks. The laptop also has a lot of connectivity with its 3 USB 3.0 ports that also supports USB 1.1 and other outdated hardware. But what makes the LG Gram truly one of the best laptops for Silhouette Cameo is its 17-inch WQXGA 2560 by 1600 display, which is a little bit bigger than your typical Full HD screen. With this, you can run graphic design programs and even Silhouette Studio hand in hand even when you're on the road. You won't have to worry about getting cut off during work, since its long battery life will ensure that you have more than enough time to run multiple editing programs and make decent progress before that low battery sign appears. Overall, the LG Gram is a good laptop for Silhouette Cameo and Silhouette Studio thanks to its long battery life, powerful specs, and impressive portability. Recommended configuration for LG Gram CPU, Intel Core i7-1065G7 graphics, Intel UHD graphics, 620 RAM, 16GB RAM screen, 17-inch IPS WQXGA 2560 by 1600 storage, 1TB M.2 NVMe SSD, 512GB X2 operating system, Windows 10 Home, battery life 17 hours, weight 2.98 pounds. At number 7. Apple MacBook Air. If you're looking for a cheaper and more portable version of the MacBook Pro 16 on this list, then the Apple MacBook Air. This MacBook may not be as powerful as the MacBook Pro, but it more than meets the requirements to handle Silhouette Cameo and Silhouette Studio. Plus, this laptop has a decent battery life as well, since it doesn't require a lot of power. MacBooks are reliable and powerful laptops that a lot of people like to have. However, the biggest problem among people who want to buy MacBooks is that they're often out of the budget of most people. If you're looking for a MacBook that is within an affordable price range, then you might want to try out the Apple MacBook Air. It's not as powerful as the MacBook Pro, but it's cheaper and much easier to carry around. Specs-wise, it has a 10th generation Intel Core i5 processor and 8GB of RAM, which meets the recommended requirement to run Silhouette Studio and handle Silhouette Cameo. And since it runs on Mac OS, expect this laptop to run much better and have fewer issues compared to its Windows counterpart. Overall, the Apple MacBook Air is an impressive alternative to the Apple MacBook Pro 16 on this list, especially if you're looking for a cheaper laptop that is just as reliable. Recommended configuration for Apple MacBook Air CPU, Intel Core i5-1030Ng7 graphics, Intel Iris Plus graphics, RAM, 8GB RAM, screen, 13.3-inch, 2560 by 1600, storage, 512GB SSD, operating system, Mac OS battery life, 13 hours, weight, 5.37 pounds.